What if everything you thought you knew about women was incomplete, at best? What if the rules you were following were never written for your success? There comes a moment in every man's life when silence becomes deafening. Not the kind of silence that soothes, but the kind that speaks louder than words. The silence after the unanswered text, after the third date that never leads anywhere, after giving your all only to be told, "I need space." It's in that quiet when the truth begins to whisper, and that whisper says, "You never understood her." Not really. Let me tell you a story. It's not unique, and that's what makes it powerful. He was smart, disciplined, went to the gym, had a stable job. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel wasn't flashy, but he was reliable, honest. He did what he thought was right. He listened. He bought flowers. He was always there. And still, she left. No explanation. Just, "I feel like something's missing." What do you do when being the good guy isn't good enough? What do you say to yourself when logic tells you did everything right, but life shows you that emotions don't play by those rules? Daniel, like many men, didn't realize that understanding the external signals of a woman isn't the same as understanding her internal psychology. You don't need more pickup lines. You don't need to be more alpha. What you need is to learn the unspoken language that most men never get taught. And the truth is, it's not about manipulation. It's about mastery. Mastery of self. Mastery of perception. Mastery of intention. Let's start with this foundational truth. Women are not unpredictable. You just haven't learned how to read their language. Psychology teaches us that human behavior is driven by needs, emotional needs, survival instincts, and subconscious programming. Female psychology, though complex on the surface, follows certain principles that become crystal clear once understood. Let's look at some key ideas. 1. Dual nature of female attraction. There are two core types of attraction women experience. Stability attraction, the provider, the safe space. Instinctual attraction, the risk, the emotional high. If you lean too far into just stability, you become predictable, safe, but also easily replaced. If you lean too far into instinctual chaos, you create excitement, but without emotional depth, it fades fast. A woman in her 20s may chase emotion. A woman in her 30s may seek stability. But the emotional blueprint underneath doesn't change. It evolves. Understanding this duality is the first step to mastering her psychology. 2. Emotional memory over logical record. Here's a truth most men overlook. Women remember how you made them feel, not what you did. You can plan the perfect dinner, say the right things, be consistent, but if, in her emotional memory, there is no spark, no emotional imprint, your presence fades like perfume in the air. This is why so many nice guys feel invisible, because being nice isn't memorable. Being emotionally resonant is. 3. Emotional safety not equal to boredom. Many men confuse emotional safety with being boring. But emotional safety in a woman's mind is about emotional intelligence, not predictability. Do you know how to hold her chaos without judging it? Do you know how to lead without controlling? Do you know how to remain calm when she tests your frame? That is what emotional safety really means to her. And when you become that man, you don't need games. 4. Her tests are subconscious filters. You've heard of shit tests. But in truth, many of her tests are subconscious ways of asking, can you lead without losing yourself? Can I trust you when my emotions are too heavy to carry alone? These are not games to win. They are filters to identify depth. A woman doesn't want perfection. She wants truth, consistency, presence, power without performance. 5. Mirror principle. She reacts to what you reflect. A woman's behavior around you is rarely about her. It's about how you show up. If you show up with insecurity masked as confidence, she will mirror confusion. If you show up with peace, presence, and purpose, she will mirror respect. This is the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. You control your mind, and in doing so, you shape your reality. The Stoic man isn't cold. He's controlled. He doesn't repress emotion. He channels it. Here's the truth nobody tells you. You've been trying to understand women by watching their actions, but you should have been listening to their silence, their pauses, their hesitation, their shifts in energy. Those are not random. They are signals. And when you ignore those signals, you don't just lose her interest. You lose the opportunity to connect on a deeper, more conscious level. What if she's not confused? What if you are the one who misread the depth of her emotional intelligence? Let that sink in. So here's your first challenge. Not with her, but with yourself. Can you sit in silence and observe without judgment? Can you notice her words and the space between them? Can you let go of needing to be chosen and instead choose to master yourself? Understanding female psychology begins not with learning new tactics, but with unlearning old illusions. Because when you shift from trying to impress her to truly understanding her, you stop playing games and start building power. Quiet power. This isn't about getting the girl. This is about becoming the man. Why do women say they want one thing and respond to another? You've seen it. She says she wants kindness, honesty, a good heart. But who does she chase? Who lingers in her thoughts? It's often not the one who gave her everything, but the one who gave her something deeper, an emotion she couldn't explain. This is a core truth. Words are the conscious mind. Emotion is the unconscious desire. And desire doesn't speak English. It speaks in energy. The story behind her silence. Let's revisit Daniel. Remember, he did everything right. And yet, it wasn't enough. One night, he finally asked her, "Why are you distant lately? What changed?" She paused, looked down, then said softly, "You didn't do anything wrong, but I don't feel the same." It broke him, not because she left, but because she didn't know why. And neither did he, but the reason was hidden beneath the surface. She no longer felt polarized. There was no emotional gravity pulling her in. She admired him, but she no longer desired him. She didn't fall out of love. She just fell into emotional neutrality. And neutrality is where attraction dies, mapping the hidden landscape of her mind. To move beyond surface-level attraction and into deep emotional connection, we must explore the emotional architecture of the female psyche. Let's break down key pillars of this architecture. 1. Emotions first, logic later. Always, while both men and women feel deeply, women tend to process through emotion, not after it. This is not weakness. It is their strength, their compass. When you try to solve her emotion with logic, you're not helping. You're invalidating the process her nervous system is designed to follow. Want to connect? Don't fix her emotions. Feel her emotions without absorbing them. A Stoic man doesn't run from emotion. He recognizes that emotion is information. 2. Emotional contagion. She feels who you are, not what you say. Women are biologically wired for emotional attunement. Evolution rewarded the woman who could instantly sense whether the man in front of her was safe, strong, grounded, or weak and reactive. Her nervous system is more sensitive than yours. She feels when your smile hides insecurity. She feels when your confidence is a mask. She feels when your need for her validation drives your actions. You cannot fake energy. That's why inner work is the most powerful seduction technique that exists. 3. The mystery of emotional tension. Do you know why women love stories? Why they get addicted to novels, romantic plot lines, slow burn tension? Because they crave emotional buildup. The mistake most men make is rushing into clarity, wanting to know where this is going. But emotional connection isn't a math problem. It's a song. And songs have rhythm, space, and rising tension. When you give her time to feel, to miss you, to wonder, you're not playing games. You're giving her nervous system the time it needs to anchor desire. Tension creates depth. Absence creates value. Stillness creates presence. 4. Her need for polarity, masculine direction versus feminine flow. Attraction is born from polarity, the energetic tension between opposites. Masculine energy seeks depth, purpose, stillness, direction. Feminine energy seeks expansion, emotion, movement, expression. When a man lacks direction, he collapses into her emotional frame. He becomes reactive, passive, lost. But when he holds his purpose, speaks with intention, and remains calm in her storm, he becomes the anchor she didn't know she craved. You don't lead her emotions by controlling her. You lead her by not being controlled by her. This is why presence is power. Not dominance, not arrogance, just calm, rooted presence. 5. Her tests are gateways to deeper trust. Let's revisit what we mentioned in Block 1. Her tests are not petty games. They are invitations. When she pokes, pushes, or challenges you, she's asking, is your center strong enough to handle me? She doesn't want a man who dominates her into silence. She wants a man who stays composed, not for show, but because his peace is real. Here's the paradox. The more calmly you pass her tests, the fewer tests she feels a need to give. Because once she senses that your frame is unshakable, her nervous system relaxes into you. That's when real intimacy begins. 6. The invisible language of emotional precision. You can say 1,000 words and still not connect. Or you can say 3 words that change everything. I see you. When you learn to name her emotion without fixing it, you become unforgettable. Examples. Instead of don't worry about it, say, I can see that this really matters to you. Instead of you're overreacting, say, you're feeling a lot right now. I get it. Instead of shutting down, breathe and remain unmoved but present. This is not weakness. This is warrior-level self-mastery. The truth she'll never tell you. Here's the part she'll never say out loud. She wants to surrender, but only to a man who won't use that surrender against her. In today's world, women are forced to stay in their masculine at work, in survival, in a world that rewards control. But deep down, many are yearning to relax into feminine flow, to express, to feel, to open. But here's the catch. She can only do that with a man who is strong enough to remain soft without collapsing, firm but kind, stoic but emotionally literate. If you become that man, she won't just be drawn to you. She'll feel safe for the first time in a long time. From reaction to resonance, let go of trying to be the perfect man in her eyes. Instead, ask yourself, can I become so rooted in my own emotional world that hers feels safe to unfold in front of me? This isn't about pickup. It's about perception. It's not about chasing validation. It's about becoming the mirror that reflects her depth without breaking. She doesn't want more texts, more gifts, or more promises. She wants a man who understands the rhythm of her soul without needing to tame it. And when you learn to speak the unspoken, you don't just attract her. You awaken something ancient inside her. Respect, trust, and desire. You never have to chase what recognizes your value. You only have to activate what awakens it. Welcome to the part where everything starts to make sense. Attraction lives in the nervous system. You've been told attraction is about looks, money, charm. But the truth is simpler and more profound. Attraction lives in her nervous system. And what regulates her nervous system? Triggers. Not bad ones, not trauma-based ones, but emotional cues that activate ancient responses within a body. Let's break down the 3 most powerful subconscious triggers that shift her emotional state instantly. Trigger 1, the calm she didn't know she craved. When you are not reactive to her chaos, when you don't rush to fix her storm, when you can remain grounded even when she spins. Something shifts in her body. She realizes, I don't have to hold everything. This is what creates the first shift from nice guy to protector energy. A man who doesn't run from her feelings, but also doesn't drown in them, gives her something few men ever could. A nervous system more regulated than hers. That's rare. And rare becomes desirable. Trigger 2, the boundary that commands respect. Have you ever said yes when you wanted to say no? Stayed silent to avoid upsetting her? Let her mood control yours? Every time you do that, you tell her, my integrity is for sale. But when a man sets a boundary without fear, he instantly changes how she sees him. Examples. I want to be close to you, but I won't argue over disrespect. I don't raise my voice. I step away when things get loud. I'm here to connect, not to compete. Let's talk when we're both calm. Notice, no anger, no begging, no drama. Just clean, calm, masculine truth. And when she feels your standards, not just hears them, you awaken something deeper than lust. Trust. Trigger 3, the mystery of the Stoic frame. The most underestimated force in male energy? Stillness. Most men talk too much, explain too much, react too much. And in doing so, they destroy the very thing that builds desire. Emotional mystery. A man who knows who he is, speaks less, listens more, and doesn't react to every emotional wave. Feels like a challenge, but a safe one. She leans in. She becomes curious. She wonders what you're thinking. And when a woman starts wondering about you instead of doubting you, that's when polarity begins. This is a silent trigger. Let's go deeper. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill it with explanations, jokes, affirmations. But silence, when grounded in self-respect, is magnetic. Here's why. It gives her space to come toward you. It allows tension to build. It signals you're not controlled by outcome. This doesn't mean ghosting. It means energetic patience. Let her cool. Let her feel the space. Let her sit with the absence of your energy. That silence will say more than your words ever could. A woman in her feminine will always return to the man who doesn't need her to return. Not because you're cold, but because you're full without her. And that fullness creates gravity. A lot of men think boundaries push women away, but it's the lack of boundaries that does. Women don't trust men who say yes to everything. Women don't respect men who tolerate disrespect. And women don't desire men who constantly seek approval. Boundaries are not walls. They are containers. They define the shape of your presence, and the more defined your shape, the safer it is to surrender into. So ask yourself, what behavior am I no longer available for? What values do I hold when it's inconvenient? Can I walk away from what disrespects me, even if it looks beautiful? The answers to these questions will define your attraction energy more than any trick or technique ever will. Let's put this into practice. Here are a few powerful one-liners you can embody and use. I'm not here to convince. I'm here to connect. I don't explain my standards. I live by them. I welcome your emotions, but not at the cost of my peace. You don't have to like my truth, but I won't lie to keep your approval. Say them with calm, not aggression. Say them when necessary, not impulsively. Say them with presence, not ego. That's where power lives. From chasing to choosing. Once you embody this level of self-trust, you realize attraction is not about getting her to choose you. It's about revealing who you are and seeing if she aligns. You stop chasing connection. You become connection. You stop trying to be impressive. You become impossible to ignore. Because here's the truth. A man who honors himself becomes a mirror for a woman's highest self. And when she sees herself reflected in your strength, she begins to feel the safety she always sought. In you, the feminine doesn't want to lead. It wants to feel safe enough to surrender. And that safety doesn't come from words. It comes from energetic consistency. Let's decode how a psychology pulls, tests, and aligns with you without her even knowing why. To understand a woman's behavior, you must stop interpreting it logically. The feminine psyche doesn't operate in lines. It moves in spirals. While the masculine seeks clarity, the feminine seeks feeling. And behind every word, every silence, every action from her, there's always a deeper emotional current. Surface behavior underlying emotional signal. She withdraws, do you come find me, or let me float away? She argues over something small. Do you stay grounded when I'm ungrounded? She becomes distant. Are you connected to yourself or just to me? She complains, can you hear my need through my noise? None of this is manipulation. It's a subconscious seeking one thing, your stable polarity. She doesn't want to test you. But when she senses inconsistency in your energy, her nervous system gets confused. So what does it do? It sends signals, emotional pings, not for you to fix, but to witness and hold. There are 3 core emotional tests women subconsciously give, not to hurt you, but to locate you. These are not games. They are spiritual diagnostics. Test 1. Can you remain calm when I'm not? The feminine energy, like nature, moves in cycles. Waves, moods, chaos, flow, when she comes to you in a storm. With emotion, intensity, or confusion, she is not asking you to fight the storm. She is watching. Do you remain the mountain? If your nervous system collapses into haze, you both drown. But if you stay rooted, she anchors to you without effort. This is the first polarity shift. Test 2. Will you lose yourself to keep me happy? When she changes plans, gets moody, or pulls away, most men panic. They adjust everything to please her. They try to win her mood back. They become emotionally malleable. But what she's really asking is, can I trust you to still be you, even when I'm not being easy? When you stop dancing to her chaos, you begin leading from your center. This is where true desire is born. Test 3. Do you need me more than you need yourself? Let this one land deeply. A woman's body relaxes around a man who would choose his integrity over her affection every time. Why? Because it shows he's not needy. He's not seeking approval. He's not emotionally starving. That kind of man doesn't need her to feel whole. He simply chooses her from a place of wholeness. And when she feels that, her walls come down. Her guard melts. Her feminine awakens because she feels safe to feel. So how do you actually hold this energy? By becoming the calm center of the room, regardless of who's in it. 1. You don't flinch when she gets intense. Not cold, just present. You look her in the eye. You breathe slower. You don't fix. You don't flee. You feel her. 2. You don't compete for power. You never try to win an argument. Instead, you speak only when grounded. You don't react. You respond. 3. You walk away from disrespect. Not with hate, not to punish, but because peace is your standard. And you only invite what honors it. You don't need to train her, correct her, or explain endlessly. You simply embody the energy you're willing to live with. The energy you bring into the room becomes the emotional rulebook she follows, subconsciously. If your energy is calm, clean, and confident, she'll naturally fall into harmony with it if she's in her feminine. And if not, she'll resist it, reject it, or try to flip it. But that's not your cue to change. That's your cue to hold. Here are 3 practices to embody Stoic polarity daily. 1. Breath mastery. Breathe through your belly. Exhale twice as long as you inhale, especially when emotionally triggered. The man who owns his breath owns the frame. 2. The inner observer. Train yourself to observe instead of react. When she says something provocative, ask yourself, is this about me, or is she just seeking safety? 9 times out of 10, it's not about you. It's about her needing to feel your presence. 3. Sacred disengagement. When things escalate emotionally, don't fight, flee, or fix. Instead, disengage with love. Say something like, I love you. I want connection. Let's return to this when we're both grounded. Then walk, not out of anger, out of mastery. It's easy to get bitter, to think, why does she test me? Or worse, why can't she just be chill? But what if her chaos is a gift? What if her storms are sacred calls? Asking, are you safe for me to relax into? And what if the more grounded you are, the less she needs to test at all? This is a spiritual view of polarity. When you stop reacting, when you remain kind, grounded, clear, when you hold your center no matter what, her subconscious gets the message. I can stop leading. I can stop guarding. I can stop fighting. And in that sacred exhale, she returns to her natural feminine state. Softness, playfulness, openness, desire. You don't need to chase it. You need to create the conditions where it can safely emerge. And that begins with one thing only: your presence. The strongest man isn't the loudest. He's the one who can hold his truth without needing it to be heard. Be that man, because when you are, you become irresistible to the feminine heart. You don't chase love. You become the space where love wants to stay. You've seen the layers. You've felt the unspoken patterns. Now it's time to stop observing and start embodying. This is where the real shift happens. not just in understanding women, but in becoming the kind of man she surrenders to without resistance. Let's begin. You are not just a mind. You are not just a body. You are not just a provider. You are the container. That means when she's emotional, you hold space, not opinions. When she doubts, you stay rooted, not reactive. When life gets chaotic, you remain clear, calm, and steady. This is masculine leadership in its highest form. Not about control, not about dominance, about direction without force, about presence without pressure, about truth without tension. This is what creates emotional gravity, not attraction based on looks, but devotion born from resonance. To activate the kind of presence that draws the feminine in naturally, you must master the 3 pillars. 1. Energetic sovereignty. This is the foundation. You're not pulled by her mood. You don't need her approval to feel worthy. You can walk away because your peace isn't negotiable. And that detachment, that deep non-neediness, it doesn't repel her. It frees her. The feminine needs to feel that you are not emotionally starving, that you're full, whether she gives you love or not. That's the energy she trusts, and that's the energy she follows. 2. Mental clarity. Confused men create anxious women. If you're unsure of what you want, she'll feel lost with you. If your words contradict your actions, her body will tighten. Clarity is not about controlling her. It's about being so clear in your direction that she can relax into your current. So ask yourself, do I know who I am without her? Do I live by my own values, no matter who's watching? Would I still be proud of my energy, even if she left tomorrow? If the answer is yes, you are on the path to mastery. 3. Emotional groundedness. She needs to feel your emotional body isn't brittle. This doesn't mean you suppress. It means you process before you project. It means when she's fire, you're water. When she spirals, you anchor. You don't raise your voice. You don't retaliate. You witness. Because love isn't loud. It's deeply stable. Now, let's get practical. Here are 4 rituals that solidify everything we've explored. 1. Silent sitting, 15 minutes daily. Every morning. No phone, no thoughts, just stillness. Focus on your breath. Let your nervous system settle. Become the observer of your own mind. This trains your emotional leadership. Before you lead her, you must lead yourself. 2. Clarity journal, nightly practice. Before bed, write. What energy did I bring today? Where did I react instead of respond? What would the grounded version of me have done? Over time, this rewires your inner compass. You start noticing emotional leaks before they create chaos. 3. Grounded communication script. Use this when emotions are high. I hear you. I'm not here to fix you. I just want to understand what you're really feeling beneath the surface. And then, silence. Let her open. Let her reveal. Let her trust your stillness. That moment, when she realizes you're not afraid of her emotion, is when you become irresistible. 4. Non-negotiable standards list. Write down the top 5 values you never compromise. Emotional safety, respectful communication, consistency, peace over performance, truth before comfort. Any relationship that violates this list, even slightly, is not your path. That level of clarity is what makes you dangerously attractive. Let's kill the myth right now. You don't need to be an alpha. You don't need to win her over. You just need to embody the energy she longs to relax into. The calm, the clarity, the container. She's not seeking perfection. She's seeking peace and passion in the same man. So if you ask, how do I get her to fall for me? You're asking the wrong question. Instead ask, how do I become a man who makes her feel more herself than she's ever felt? That's the secret. Not chasing, not pleasing, just becoming the grounded mirror of her highest feminine expression. Let's summarize everything. She doesn't fall in love with your words. She falls in love with how safe and free she feels around you. She doesn't stay for your looks. She stays because your energy is medicine for her nervous system. She doesn't open up because you asked. She opens because your presence doesn't judge, doesn't flee, and doesn't control. That kind of man is rare, and that's exactly why it's unforgettable. In Stoicism, we learn to master the self, not the world. And in love, it's the same. You don't control her. You don't decode every mood. You simply become such a grounded, purposeful man that her energy naturally synchronizes with yours. You don't chase the river. You become the rock it flows around. This is the highest form of seduction, self-possession. It's silent. It's sacred. It's sovereign. If this message awakens something in you, if something deep in your gut whispered, "This is who I'm meant to be," then don't just watch videos like this. Become the man we're speaking about. Because when you become the man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, you become the man whose very presence heals. So subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the mission of becoming unshakable in a world that thrives on distraction. Comment below with, "I am ready to lead." Let the algorithm know this is the kind of content that matters. And more importantly, let your soul know the time of hiding your power is over. The time of waiting for her to choose you is done. Now it's time to choose yourself. Fully, finally, forever.